Good.
Okay, we're good.
No worries.
Thank you.
Okay, Dr.
Oh, you got it?
Rackett,
Okay.
Good.
And then close, and then just make this halfway again. Yeah, just exit.
Uh-huh. Sorry.
It's okay.
Oh, I need to plug in my computer. Just for.
Yeah. Okay.
Sorry.
Thank you so much. I think it should be good. Do you know if the classroom camera will be recording? We sent a note yesterday.
It's recording on Teams.
Okay, perfect.
Unfortunately, we can't set it up because it's with Galterra. If we record, it won't go to your.
Oh, to our UIMF.
Do it.
Okay, perfect.
Yes.
I think we're good.
But as long as you
So,
select it's
we're-
recording on- this is a
We're
touch-
doing it
this is
from
a touch
Leoka's
screen, by the
computer.
way.
I can
Oh.
take it back. Don't you worry.
Sorry.
There you go. And then yeah, it's recording on Teams. So
No. Okay.
Is it recording on? Is YouTube on this?
YouTube is on this, and then we're recording on Teams as well. So
This is the script for everybody. Yes, just in case anything.
5 minutes.
I think
all right.
we'll be good.
So just
Thank you
just
so
to
much. I
kind
appreciate
of
your help.
Yeah.
Re-explain
Are you wanting
how
objectives
we're
on or off?
Oh,
doing
I'm
it?
the
So
one, yeah.
Abby made a great point that if you are in the next 5 people to speak, if you're the first person of those 5 people, then stand over here. Make sure you're not behind there in frame and just kind of wait here until that person's done. Most people will say something like in conclusion, but also be looking at your scripts to kind of see when their last paragraph is, so you know when to come here. Are we gonna?
Sorry, I'm just.
Oh, okay. But yeah, so Natalia will also announce 5 people at a time who's speaking. So as soon as you hear your name, but also be looking at the script. But if you're not looking at the script, as soon as you hear your name, come here. And then Janessa made a good point that we should be exiting this way. So if we could, is that good with everybody?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. So that's how we'll continue.
I don't know. I just went blank for some reason.
It's okay. We just need one screen. It's all right.
There it goes.
Oh,
Yeah.
thank you.
Okay. I think we're good. Yeah, oh, Sarah. Okay, sorry.
Good. Good.
Hey, Dr. Beck, are we gonna have a cue for when to start? Like, will we know when they join the YouTube live?
You know, we don't care what we are starting at
The
10:30
entire speech is on one
sharp,
page.
yeah?
Yes, yes,
10:30 we already
yes,
go.
yeah. Not saying it's gonna break down, but you know what? It can.
So we're gonna leave it up here as well. So yeah, go ahead and take yours.
Well, yeah, it's already at 5 minutes, yeah?
All of my main
So
stuff
one
is right
after
here.
another, one after another.
And I'll put it right here just like.
Properly.
Thank you. Yeah, you're gonna do great.
The
You got this.
Q&A, with Q&A we didn't again try, but I'm sure that
Also,
it will work properly.
If you're already in the first 5 people, come sit here right now. Just start right here, please.
Are they gonna ask questions to everybody or just to some people?
I think just until we run out of time.
Okay, don't ask me any questions.
Yeah.
Thank you. If you need, at the end, but prioritize them. This is their first. I've done it.
Plus.
Not a lot.
No, next semester.
In December. Nice. Are you walking or are you?
One quick thing to remember.
I'm probably gonna search the going as soon as I can.
So just remember to zoom in to see things. Yep, you're welcome.
Have a nice day.
Yeah, you too.
Are you doing grad school?
I'm gonna do an internship in January. And then I'll do-
No, if he doesn't show up, we can just skip.
it depends on the school and the program, but
Oh,
it's gonna
Matthew
be
is here.
international or European security.
School.
Are you gonna go for that too?
I don't know yet. I'm applying for different, I want to go abroad. I'm going to Europe, that's for sure.
Heck yeah, me too.
So I'm applying for schools in Germany, schools in Chechnya.
Oh, what schools in Germany?
That's the thing.
In
It's like,
Chechnya.
well, the Czech Republic.
Oh, okay. Russia.
I'm not going to Russia. I don't think I can survive in Russia. I don't even know how to say. Well, I know how to say hello. That's about it.
Also, Chechnya is super stretched. So like, thank you. Okay, but so Czechia.
Sorry, that's what
No, you're-
Spanish. I don't know yet. I'm taking a year off to save money because I'm broke when it comes to that kind of stuff. So I want to be able to have enough money so I can like live. Yeah. I want to have enough money to like I'm saving like because if not, it's just gonna take me longer to do a master's program that if I'm not working. But I'm doing a master's program in clinical psychology. So I want to be a therapist when it comes to. I want to work for international NGOs. I want to work for refugees. So I want to focus on trauma.
And also, Matthew is in person. I traded him to the.
Hey Matthew, you're the first one. Yeah. Can you pull up? Yeah, so they're on the smallest screen. Right there. No.
You are the authority.
Are you the coordinator? Yeah.
Good.
But what universities in Germany?
I don't know. I've been thinking about going. My cousin lives in Berlin, so he says the university
They might not
is really
fit.
good.
The university is very, very good. There's a really good school in Munich called Truth Big Talks in Munich. It's so good. They have good therapy programs there. Munich is like top city.
I really want to where I am. I just want to be gone. That's my thing. If I don't do clinical psychology, which I probably will do, I'll do international affairs or diplomacy, which right now I'm not saying. But if not, I will go to the political science university in France. If that's
Oh, yeah, science is good. So good.
for the American university.
Oh, right now?
Ready?
Like right now?
Do you want me to give you like a 5-second cue?
Damn, you're not in the way.
Is your phones.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, sure, yeah, everybody silence or even.
Is the mic on?
Silence or-
Okay. No, I wore the wrong pantsuit, but that's okay. Why? I want the shorter sleeves. No, not long ones. I have short arms. Okay.
Aloha, my name is Janessa Michelle Purcell, and right now I have been the second president of the Utah International Mountain Forum, UIMF, a coalition of student clubs at Utah Valley University, serving since 2024. Welcome to the parallel event titled Raising Justice Awareness of Mountain Women Through Student Engaged Learning. 19 of my colleagues will make a presentation on this topic. I am proud to share my support of mountain women and girls for the third time at this forum. Highlighting the important roles of women and girls has been my personal initiative that I attribute to my Polynesian culture and legacy. As my time as president comes to a close, I have moved into a mentor role for my team with Dr. Baktibek Abjusev. Today's event will be hosted as a midterm examination of the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals class. You will observe how the student-engaged learning SEL model encourages UIMF members to work together to host this event while also solving real problems in their advocacy for mountain communities with faculty mentorship. Through SEL, I was able to lead UIMF advocacy for mountain women in the state of Utah, globally, and at the United Nations. We cleaned the Provo River Delta, volunteered at the Congressional Conservative Climate Summit, assembled hygiene kits, and raised funds to benefit the local communities in partnership with the Orem Linden Rotarians. These activities allowed our students and club members to combine research methods with practical contribution for the betterment of our communities. I was most excited to present the SEL model during the International Mountain Conference in September last year in Innsbruck, Austria. I was honored to collaborate with our partners from the Kyrgyz Republic to advocate for mountain women during the 68th and 69th session of the Commission on the Status of Women. UVU and the Kyrgyz Republic were recognized in 2023 and 2025 UN Secretary General's report on sustainable mountain development for our consistent endeavor to emphasize the significant role of mountain women and girls. In my time as president, it was a privilege to host Ambassador Michelle Cison, the Assistant Secretary of State for International Organization Affairs, who praised our coalition for promoting women's rights at CSW during her visit to UVU in October 2024. For my own research presentation, my colleague McKay Jones and I studied the air pollution problem in West Salt Lake to identify the main pollution contributors. McKay and I were happy to conduct this research through the Global Map the System competition, where we won the UVU competition, then traveled to present our research at Oxford University last July. Through this extensive research, we determined many of Utah's major polluters are concentrated on the west side of the I-15 Federal Highway, with West Side residents disproportionately affected and experiencing higher rates of health issues and illnesses, specifically women and girls. To find solutions, we spoke with many field experts and community champions and studied Utah legislation. Just last Friday, I completed an internship at the Utah State Legislature, where I was able to experience firsthand how some Utah legislators and government officials have taken the necessary steps to address this issue, a major difference in our research findings from last year. We were happy to share our analysis with the West Side communities that are most impacted by air pollution in Utah. I would like to thank the UVU College of Humanities and Social Science, Dr. Jay Destart, the chair for the History and Political Science Department, Tanika Armstrong, our incredible admin, the Orem Linden Rotary Club, the Hope for Orem organization, and the UVU Sustainability Committee for their unwavering support for our students' active role in advocacy for a sustainable future in local mountain communities. After all, in investing in women and girls of the mountains, we are investing in generations to come. Now, I would like to invite my colleague, Natalia Figueroa, for the program. Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Natalia Figueroa. It is my privilege to be a moderator for this parallel event hosted by students from Utah Valley University, UVU. I am a mountain girl with Mapuche roots from Chile, studying political science at UVU. I also serve as a president of the UVU's Foreign Affairs Club. Today, our team is advocating again for mountain women and girls to be included in the final documents of the session, as we do every year since 2018, and it has not been happened yet. Mountain regions play a vital role in sustaining life on our planet, supporting rich biodiversity and providing essential water resources. Mountain women are key stewards of these environments, protecting natural resources and cultivating crops. Yet, mountain women and girls remain underprivileged and neglected, face injustice in legal and institutional settings, sexual violence, limited access to education, and risks while defending their property rights. As per FAO UN, nearly 40% of them worldwide face food insecurity. I can tell from my own experiences and research that similar challenges are affecting the lives of mountain women in Chile. The law of usurpación criminalizes indigenous landowners, impacting more than 810,000 Mapuche women, the largest indigenous mountain group in the community. Forestry companies use the law to dominate Mapuche lands, often criminalizing women who defend them. Examples such as Nicolasa Quinterman, who was found dead after resisting construction of a dam on ancestral land, are ongoing for Chilean mountain women. Despite UN intervention, Mapuche women landowners still face weak legal protection while defending the communities and environment. Recognizing such challenges since 2007, 4 International Women of the Mountain Conferences, WOMC, have been hosted at UVU under the umbrella of the United Nations Mountains Partnership, and they were recognized for the advocacy for rights of women and girls in the United Nations Secretary General's Report on Sustainable Mountain Development in 2007, 2009, 2013, and 2016. I was proud to learn that the first executive director of the UN Women and former Chilean President Michelle Bachelet in 2011 stated, "I am glad that the Conference of Women of the Mountains is addressing the specific and urgent challenges faced by women living in mountain regions." Today, we will demonstrate how UVU Student Engaged Learning SEL model, guided by faculty mentorship, prepares students to collaboratively address real-world challenges facing mountain women and girls. In 2015, UVU students were praised by the UN Secretary General's report on SMD for hosting through SEL the 4th WOMC at UVU. Through SEL, they organized agenda, logistics, protocol, and fundraising for the event while gaining experiences similar to entry-level diplomats and civil society advocates. Preparing for this session of the CSW, we used the same model to amplify the voices of our students, which also included mountain women and girls. Through the students, we partner with the Orem Linden Rotary Club to raise funds for those activities and serve local mountain communities. As a result, we provided coats for the needy, students assembled hygiene kits for women and girls in Utah County. These initiatives strengthened our leadership, teamwork, empathy, and problem-solving skills while teaching us to use evidence-based arguments to advocate for mountain women and practice active citizenship. We recommend students and faculty in other mountain and rural communities to use the SEL model to empower themselves, like us, and then jointly work together as forums like sessions of the CSW to make a strong appeal to impact on policies of our states, impacting the lives of mountain women and girls at home, and in adopting the final document of these sessions. Further, I will be glad to invite my colleagues to present their own statements and suggestions in support for mountain women and the necessity for the sessions of the Commission on the Status of Women to take concrete action in recognizing mountain women and girls in their final document. We will now be pleased to hear from fellow student activist Amish Brock, followed by Anna Calabero, Matthew Erickson, Abigail Fisher, and Allie Holt. We will then go from there in the program.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I am Amish Brock, a global politics major with a minor in Russian studies and the vice president of UVU Foreign Affairs. I am honored to contribute to the work of the 70th session of the Commission on the Status of Women through UVU Student Engaged Learning Model, or SEL. Today, I respectfully urge CSW70 to ensure that mountain women and girls are explicitly included in its final document. Mountain communities are too often treated as peripheral in policy decision-making, even though they are central to water security, biodiversity, food systems, and climate resilience. In many mountain regions, women carry disproportionate burdens related to household energy, caregiving, food security, and climate adaptation, while still facing barriers to decision-making, education, economic opportunity, and equal justice. In its quest for gender equality, the CSW must also address geographic inequality and its impact on mountain families and women. At Utah Valley University, I have seen how the SEL model inclusively engages both traditional and non-traditional students in joint student-driven work with faculty mentorship. Through a coalition of student clubs, we advocate for local mountain women's empowerment. Through our partnership with the Orem Linden Rotary Club, we serve local mountain communities in Utah County. In preparation for CSW70, I helped assemble hygiene kits for single mothers in need and volunteered at a local food bank supporting families experiencing food insecurity. It was a reminder for us that policy advocacy is strongest when it is grounded in service and in direct awareness of community needs. This model gives students practical experience in advocacy, diplomacy, and public service while connecting local action to global policy. SEL also engages us in academic research And in my study on the mountain communities in states such as Kyrgyzstan and those in the Alps as comparative case studies, I've been learning that energy policy is not only about infrastructure, it is also about women's rights. Given that there is often less awareness of equal justice and participation, women are often left out of decision-making processes. I can state that gender equality in mountain regions requires more than access, it requires agency. In conclusion, I recommend continued support for an inclusive, student-centric, and student-driven SEL model as an educational pedagogy that empowers students to address real-world challenges and contribute to UN priorities. I also urge the CSW70 to explicitly recognize mountain women and girls in its final document as essential partners in achieving gender equality and sustainable development. Thank you.
Good afternoon, honorable delegates, distinguished guests, and my fellow advocates. My name is Ana Caballero, and I'm from the southeast of Mexico. I'm a global politics major, and today I would like to raise my voice in support of the mountain women around the world. Mountain women face systemic legal institutional barriers, including limited access to justice, unequal property and inheritance laws, and weak protection from gender-based violence. These inequalities, combined with the poverty and isolation, restrict women's abilities to participate in public life and decision-making. Addressing these challenges require inclusive and equitable legal systems that recognize women as right holders and leaders of their own communities. In addition to my research, I've also contributed to the Utah International Mountain Club at Utah Valley University, where I've helped promote dialogue on sustainable mountain development and the global challenges facing the highland communities. I also participated in the Conservative Climate Summit, where I engaged in discussions on environmental stewardship, economic responsibility, and policy solutions that impact rural and mountain communities and regions. Furthermore, I also helped bring the dignitaries to campus for the United Nations Days, including Ambassador Michelle J. Sisson, whose address to the Utah Valley University community on multilateral diplomacy is threatening conversations about international cooperation and global governance. This wouldn't have been possible without the student engaged learning model at Utah Valley University, where students, including myself, both traditional and non-traditional, actively engage together in projects and research that address real-world problems and challenges in mountain communities with teachers mentoring them. As we gather for the 70th session of the Commission of Status of Women, it is vital to recognize that justice, gender equality, and sustainable development are deeply interconnected. When mountain women have access to legal protection, economic opportunity, and decision-making powers, they can transform their families, communities, and their societies. Empowering mountain women through the access of justice is not only a human right obligation, but it's also a critical step of stewardship at achieving the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development. An educational program like the Student Engaged Learning Model developed at Utah Valley University is an important tool to achieve this goal. Thank you.
Hi, good afternoon. My name is Matthew Erickson, and I appreciate your participation today. I'm a political science student at Utah Valley University, and throughout my education at UVU, I've had the opportunity to learn more about the issues that mountain regions and women are facing today. These issues are prevalent within the state of Utah and in mountain regions across the world, and I'm honored to speak today about these issues and how they can be addressed through sustainable development policy. The environmental, economic, and social impacts of mountain regions are often underrepresented and overexploited within their states. In an increasingly globalized world, mountain regions face resource shortages due to over-extraction, while the profits from those resources are not returned to the regions. This lack of resources, including financial investment, leads to shortages of critical services such as education, public health and safety, transit, and environmental protection. Women in these regions are consistently disproportionately affected more by the lack of these sustainable development policies in mountain regions. At UVU, we have participated in the Student Engaged Learning Model, which provides opportunities for traditional students, non-traditional students, and community members to participate in student-led opportunities to serve the community, educate on the issues mountain regions and women face globally, and gain valuable experiences in those fields of study. My research on Nepal has shown a correlation between a region's sustainable development progress and the expansion of women's rights. A major issue that Nepal faces in these regards is the implementation and enforcement of sustainable development policies. Economic and political struggles cause roadblocks that limit the impact of national or international policies. Bolstering local leadership and integrating multilateral systems of governance allows for policies that are more effective at achieving sustainable development goals and helping women. Environmental issues like climate change also affect the mountain regions of Nepal and the women who live there severely. Changes in snowfall and glacial melting are major issues, and the isolation of mountain regions makes aid distribution difficult. Through UVU's SEL model, student members of the UIMF have participated in service learning activities that provided opportunities for students and community members to make space for underrepresented voices like those of mountain communities and women regarding our sustainable development goals. Collaborative classroom assignments, research on mountain states around the globe, community outreach, and policy-forward analysis has allowed myself and others to directly engage with real-world issues facing women in mountain regions. The SEL model afforded me the opportunities to integrate research, service, and policy engagement, and has equipped me with the skills to address complex issues such as sustainable mountain development. This also amplifies the voices of underrepresented groups, such as women within these mountain regions. The student-engaged learning model aligns with achieving the United Nations' broad goals of equality and sustainable development, and can be implemented in academic institutions for mountain regions worldwide. Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Abby Fisher. I am a psychology student and researcher at Utah Valley University who grew up at the base of a mountain canyon in Spanish Fork, Utah. I am honored to speak today in support of mountain women and girls worldwide, advocating for their inclusion in the final outcome document of this session. My research on Utah and China highlights how similar patterns in green governance emerge across mountain communities in opposing political systems when gender equitable leadership is peripheral. Both Utah and China are shaped by complex mountain networks, high water stress in mountain regions, and expanding mountain urbanization and industrialization. And while policy and inclusive governance is idealized in these regions, the reality is that policy leadership does not exist equitably. Women hold just 31.7% of legislative seats in Utah and hold no executive seats in the Chinese Communist Party's 20th Politburo. This underrepresentation correlates in both regions with persistent gender disparities in health, wages, domestic labor burdens, and more, challenges that undermine long-term sustainable development. The marginalization of women and girls in Utah and China interact deeply with green governance and mountain-specific challenges, creating tertiary outcomes that are obscure, overlooked, and severely understudied. These outcomes can only be meaningfully addressed by building data infrastructure that connects the complex lived realities of local mountain women with research, policy, and action, opportunities that student-engaged learning can uniquely champion. SEL advances sustainable development outcomes by moving beyond theory to foster community engagement with mountain women, empowering students to focus research on this underrepresented group, and expanding access to research-based resources and advocacy platforms for these stakeholders. At UVU, SEL engages students with real local needs, assembling hygiene kits for local food pantries, raising nearly $10,000 for children's coats, hosting international events, and engaging in critical research such as what is being presented today. Mountain women and girls are central to environmental stewardship, resource security, and economic resilience in some of the world's most ecologically critical mountain landscapes. When systems in these landscapes do not engage in equitable policy leadership, we see correlations that systematize and externalize damaging outcomes for mountain women. We therefore urge member states to intentionally build bottom-up governance structures that formally include the lived experiences of mountain women experts, develop region-specific frameworks for mountain communities, and shift marginalizing cultural norms through sustained relationships with local mountain stakeholders to challenge gender biases and connect communities. It is not just about what we can research, but how we can cultivate integrative partnerships to drive impact. What is presented today reminds us that the experiences and voices of mountain women are not peripheral, but central to achieving the UN's goals of equitable, sustainable, inclusive, and just governance for all. Thank you.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Allie Holt, and I serve as the president of the Sustainable Development Club at Utah Valley University. I would like to raise my voice here in support of the women and girls who live in mountain areas around the world and who must be part of the focus of our attention in the final document of this session. I've spent all my life in small communities under the shadow of the Wasatch Mountain Range in the Rocky Mountain region of the United States. I grew up hiking up its faces and skiing down its slopes. The sustainable development of this mountain range is something I didn't realize I could have an impact on, however, until I came to UVU. In Utah, women's equality is ranked the worst in the United States. Mountain women, families, and communities worldwide face challenges due to underrepresentation. As a student at UVU, I joined the Utah International Mountain Forum, or UIMF, an organization partnering with the Rotary, Foreign Affairs, and Sustainable Development Club. These clubs collaborate with mentors and local organizations to implement the Student Engaged Learning Model, which empowers students to take responsibility for making a change in their communities. As a woman in this mountainous community, the Student Engaged Learning Model has made a space for my voice to be heard and has empowered me to become involved in issues that are so key to the community I live in. Through this model, students are part of the process of organizing service projects, drafting high-level documents, and hosting dignitaries at UVU for educational events. I've served with my fellow students, I have helped raise funds for local charities, I have created posters, brochures, and helped organize events for occasions such as hosting International Mountain Day and World Polio Day. Through my time at UVU, I have had the opportunity to research the partnership between the mountainous regions of Utah and the Kyrgyz Republic. This research has focused on the exchange of knowledge in building sustainable livelihoods between the two states, and how adopting engaged learning processes has mutually benefited both mountain communities and their women and families over the last 20 years. The Student Engaged Learning Model is, therefore, an important model of development that makes space for the voices of mountainous women around the world to be heard as it is adopted and implemented. Through its implementation, students, particularly underprivileged or underrepresented ones, such as women of the mountains, are empowered to make a change. I've seen how participating in this model has given me a voice and has helped me develop skills that benefit both my community and my future, and I hope others will find the same. Thank you.
We will thank the students who have spoken so far for their remarks. We will continue with the program hearing from Sophie Jackson, followed by Grace Jurgerson, Roland Kabango, Erin Lamy, and Leo Kunanza.
Good afternoon. My name is Sophie Jackson. I'm a political science honors undergrad student at UVU and currently a part of the student learning model known as SEL. My goal here is to raise my voice in support of mountain girls and women and ensure the final document of this session highlights their struggles and challenges in building a brighter future. I'm a woman who has spent a majority of my life in the mountains, moving in between the Wasatch Mountain Range and the San Francisco Peaks of Flagstaff, Arizona. I have personally seen the struggles women face when it comes to violence, discrimination, and the lack of voice within our society. However, it is because of SEL that I, a born and raised mountain woman, am able to make a statement before you all today. On top of this, thanks to SEL, my peers and I participate in local service opportunities such as raising money by selling oranges for the local Rotary Club, assembling hygiene kits for the less fortunate, and volunteering our time at the local food pantry. We do this to improve livelihoods and to support our community. I have personally seen, felt, and researched the issues facing women, my own mountain community, and those of global mountain communities. Because of this, I am here to discuss justice for mountain women and share my research on the challenges facing all women with a particular focus on mountain women in Japan. Recently, more and more young women are leaving their rural, mountainous hometowns in Japan for its big cities. They are moving to big cities in search for better employment opportunities, to escape rigid social and religious gender norms, and to escape gender discrimination in both education and business. While their reasons for leaving are admirable, these women are becoming increasingly vulnerable to forced prostitution and forced participation in Japan's lucrative sex industry. Forced prostitution, manipulation, and violence against women are on the rise in Japan due to its increase in demand, known as sex tourism, a new wave of organized crime focusing on trapping women into prostitution, and the lack of legal repercussions placed on buyers. In conclusion, to empower mountain women globally, and especially in Japan, we must further examine how women's search for equality and greater opportunities is making them increasingly vulnerable within their societies, and examine how we can create new legislation to protect these vulnerable women. Lastly, we can promote the SEL model worldwide to continue community outreach and give more women the opportunity to share their research and experiences with world governments, as my peers and I are doing today. Mountain women need to be included in the final document of this session. Our voices will and must be heard worldwide to effect change. Thank you for your time.
Good afternoon. My name is Grace Jurgensen, and I am a political science student at Utah Valley University. It is my privilege today to speak in support of the mountain women, not only in the state of Utah, but globally. Mountain women continue to be under-resourced, unacknowledged, and their voices continue to be neglected, even at this forum. Mountain families, women and girls, are essential to achieving our global sustainability goals. These regions provide our world with resources and protection while facing the current climate crisis. Still, women and girls of these communities carry a heavy burden due to lack of resources, access to adequate health care, education, and physical safety, resulting in mountain women's inability to participate in civil and legal arenas. Violence against mountain women is a significant issue that has yet to be addressed due to language barriers and closed-minded institutional practices. Education plays a crucial role in raising justice awareness among mountain women. I can share my experience how the student-engaged learning model at UVU has helped me recognize my important role as a mountain woman. As students, we have been able to work together on these challenges impacting mountain women through analysis, networking, and UN engagement. Through the SEL model, I have been able to serve mountain women in the state of Utah alongside the Orem Linden Rotary Club. This initiative has also provided me with the opportunity to host events at UVU serving mountain communities, families, and women. As a part of the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals course, we study a specific state's policies and initiatives to promote mountain women. In my studies of Norway, I have seen their efforts to include mountain women's voices in government. Norway also provides financial aid, equal parental leave, as well as ensuring safety of their environments. I am planning to be a professional in sustainability and work with intergovernmental organizations like the United Nations. It is my hope to contribute to the increase of the role of women and mountain women and girls in particular within the international space by relying on educational initiatives like the SEL model. In forums like these, I want to encourage and invite women to join the conversation. We recognize their value and opinion and their leadership. Thank you.
Hello everyone, my name is Ronald Kabongo. I'm originally from Democratic Republic of Congo, a member of Utah International Mountain Forum at Utah Valley University, where I study technology management and public law in Utah. Even though these two places are thousands of miles apart, I've come to realize that they share something powerful, something that has shaped who I am. They are both mountain communities with an important role of families, women, and girls. Back home in DRC, the mountains are more than just the landscapes. They are places of strength, culture, and resilience for local communities. The Virunga Mountains, the highlands of Kivu, are places where local communities, including women and girls, have learned how to endure hardship, to protect their land, and rebuild again and again. Growing up around those mountains regions has taught me and women in these regions what it means to stand tall, even the life is difficult. When I moved to Utah, the moment I saw the richest range, something felt familiar. The mountains here carry a different story, a different climate, a different culture, but the spirit is pleasingly similar. Families, women, and girls here value nature, community, and the idea of pushing yourself climb higher, both literally and in life. My education at UVU has emphasized who I am and where I come from. My involvement in these programs of UVU student clubs coalitions named the Utah International Mountains taught me how to work together with other students, including local women, girls, on solving problems of local mountain communities. They remind me no matter where we live, the mountains, families, women, including, are risen above challenges and to keep moving forward. Through this model, named Student Engaged Learning and partnership with local Rotarians, our team and myself have learned how to serve local women and girls by raising money to buy goods for students in local elementary schools, or assembly kits for women for local charity groups in Utah County. So when I think about my journey from Democratic Republic of Congo to Utah, I see that such as hand-on experiential service focused education can help to empower women and girls in Africa as well. I asked these section organizers and participants to promote the use of such programs, including mountain women in the discussion and decision made at the UN. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Erin Lammy, and I am a philosophy major at Utah Valley University, where I serve as the current Rotaract Club president. It is an honor to address you today at this session of the Commission on the Status of Women. I want to advocate for raising, excuse me, I'm so sorry. Okay. Okay. It is an honor to address you today at this session of the Commission on the Status of Women. I want to advocate for raising justice awareness, specifically for inclusion of mountain women and girls in the final document of this forum, as their unique challenges and contributions are too often overlooked in international discourse. According to reports from the Hellenic Statistical Authority and the European Institute for Gender Equality, women in rural mountainous regions of Greece experience significantly lower employment rates, reduced access to higher education, and fewer institutional resources disproportionately affect women and girls. When mountain women lack equitable access to education and policy participation, they are denied equal opportunity to influence the economic and political structures that shape their lives. Without access to education and legal literacy, many women remain unaware of protections available under Greek law and European Union gender equality directives. The student engaged learning model brings together traditional and non-traditional students to apply classroom knowledge in real-world settings through collaborative projects that directly benefit mountain communities with a mentor. A non-traditional student is a student over 24 and is enrolled part-time, such as myself. By partnering with local NGOs and international organizations, I have engaged with students from diverse backgrounds to promote women's rights. With the Orem Linden Rotary Club, I was able to help provide coats to mountain children and lead the Rotaractors during the 50th anniversary event of the local Rotary Club. The SEL model can help Greek women by teaching civic and legal literacy and fostering leadership skills, giving them the knowledge and competence to participate in policy, advocate for their rights, and engage with decision makers by creating opportunities to learn. SEL empowers women to take active roles in economic, social, and political life, improving their own lives and driving sustainable development in their communities. As a non-traditional student, I am grateful to the UVU Political Science Department, UVU College of Humanities and Social Sciences, and the Orem Linden Rotary Club for empowering mountain women like myself. Denying mountain women and girls access to education and participation in policy is a clear injustice. UVU's student engaged learning model builds awareness, civic engagement, and advocacy skills. Empowering mountain women in this way not only transforms individual lives, but strengthens entire communities. I urge this session to ensure that mountain women and girls are explicitly included in all discussions, frameworks, and actions on gender equality and sustainable mountain development. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Luyo Konyanza. I am a political science and international relations student at Utah Valley University. I am also the president of the Smart African NGO. It is a real pleasure to speak for this third time at this session of the CSW. And as before, I would like to urge this forum to include mountain women and girls in its final document. Mountain regions supply fresh water to billions of people, feed major rivers, and store snow and ice that regulate water flow. They host rich biodiversity, act as carbon sink, and support agriculture with key crops like wheat and potato. mountain women are essential to food security and community resilience, yet they face limited access to education, healthcare, justice, and decision-making. In the conflict-affected mountain regions, such as East Democratic Republic of Congo, Sudan, many women and girls endure displacement and violence. Achieving the Sustainable Development Goal and equal justice require recognizing them as care partners in peace and development. Education play an important role in women's empowerment. I know this from my own experience in my country, the Republic of Congo, and here in Utah. UVU student engage learning model engages my peers and me in hands-on activity and service as a group to resolve problem challenging mountain community with our teacher mentoring us. Through Utah International Mountain Forum, a coalition of student clubs at Utah Valley University and Smart African NGO, my peers and I partner with OM London Rotary Club to serve at Tabitha's Way, a local food pantry, to raise funds for buying coats for needy local children in Utah country. As part of our NGO's activities this year, we provide healthcare awareness session and urgent kit to more than 250 women and girls in the Republic of Congo. Similarly, as assistant research at the Gary R. Herbert Institute, a public policy, I applied the student engaged learning model to analyze how government and trade policies among mountain community in Switzerland, the Kyrgyz Republic, and the Democratic Republic of Congo affect vulnerable population, particularly mountain women, and translate that research into evidence-based policy recommendations that promote inclusive and sustainable development. Ladies and gentlemen, to conclude, I once more urge the United Nations to empower mountain women and girls by ensuring that their voice shape the CSW70's final document and beyond. Thank you.
Thank you. We will now have the opportunity to hear from more student activists, including Angie Macias, Zhao Peter, and Antoine Mwaba.
Fellow delegates, faculty, and advocates, I am Angie Macias, a political science major with a minor in leadership in nonprofit organizations at Utah Valley University. As someone from Honduras, I have personally witnessed the realities faced by women in rural communities. I am honored to address this session to advocate for the inclusion of mountain women in the Commission's final document. Mountain communities, specifically women and young girls, experience a lack of justice, legal protection, and institutional access. Mountainous and rural communities experience inequality as the structure of their lives, starting at childhood. Mountain women have to carry the burden from a young age due to limited educational and institutional opportunities. These inequalities reinforce the violence that mountain women experience, which typically goes unreported. The UVU Student Engaged Learning Model allows students to get involved and recognize the issues that affect a community. The SEL encourages students to challenge the inequalities of mountain women through advocacy, policy, and academic research. In my research of Armenia, mountain women experience limitations to education, institutional access, economic growth, and civic opportunities due to traditional gender norms and geographical location. According to UN Women, around 56% of women in the mountainous regions live in poverty. Various factors are reason as to why women spend 58.5 hours per week on domestic work, lack of property registration to their name, less than 10% of leadership positions belong to women, and they earn 25 to 30% less than men. It is essential to raise awareness and advocate for mountain women to strengthen their voice that has been silenced, ensuring that women have access to resources that are limited. I urge this commission to recognize mountain women in its final document, encourage member states to create policies that will strengthen education access and legal protection in rural regions. Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is João Peter. I am from Brazil, and I'm a global politics student at Utah Valley University and a member of the Utah International Mountain Forum. A mountain perspective matters to the United Nations Mountain Partnership because mountains are essential to global sustainability and human security. Yet, mountain communities and women are frequently under-resourced and underrepresented. This is the case of the CSW, which has never included mountain women in their final documents. Mountain regions provide water and livelihoods while facing disproportionate climate impacts. In many mountain communities, women and girls carry heavy burdens such as unpaid care work, little access to education and health services, and safe transportation. These pressures create limits on civic participation and legal empowerment. When violence occurs, survivors face long travel to report, language barriers, and institutional practices that discourage follow-through. The UVU Student Engaged Learning model offers a practical way to respond. SEL is inclusive because it brings together traditional and non-traditional students. In UIMF, SEL allows students to work on challenges affecting mountain communities and elevate women's leadership through policy analysis, public outreach, and UN engagement. Through the SEL, I was able to serve mountain communities throughout the state of Utah in partnership with nonprofit groups such as the Orem Linum Rotaract and host events with both local and foreign dignitaries, bringing awareness to the issues facing mountain women. In my research on Bolivia, I learned how mountain geography can widen the gap between rights on paper and justice in practice. Bolivia has formal legal protections for women, but indigenous women in highland areas face distance to services, limited legal support, language barriers, and institutional delays that make justice difficult to access. The lesson is clear. Discrimination is not only a problem in laws, it can also appear in everyday practices that prevent women from receiving equal protection. In conclusion, we urge member states and partners to support practical access to justice through language access, survivor-centered procedures, and community-based pathways that reduce distance and delay. Additionally, universities should expand inclusive SEL models that are student-centric and student-driven. They build the skills and partnerships needed to advance women's rights and sustainable mountain development. Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Anton Mwamba, and I am an international student from the Democratic Republic of the Congo at the Utah Valley University. As I would like to advance in my career path by working at the United Nations, I stand before you now to add my voice for women whose call for justice are often silenced by geography, conflict, and policies, especially mountain women around the world and in the Democratic Republic of the Congo in particular. It is essential that mountain women are included in the final document of this session. Mountain regions provide water, food, natural resources, and cultural heritage to millions of people. Mountain women cultivate land, care for families, and preserve tradition. But often, these environments are shaped by isolation, poverty, and insecurities. Their right to safety, dignity, and legal protection must not depend on their distance from access to resources. Justice must climb the mountain. In the eastern Congo, because of the mountainous terrain and ongoing conflicts, women often struggle to reach police stations, courts, or medical centers. Sexual violence has been used as a weapon, and weak legal system make justice difficult to obtain. In 2025, the Muzenze prison break in the DRC, 150 women were reportedly raped and killed. This shows extreme risk mountain women face. This demonstrates also why mountain women must be included in the CSW75 final document. My advocacy is based on the Utah Valley University Student Engaged Learning module. This inclusive approach brings together traditional and non-traditional students in collaborative mounted projects by connecting academic studies with real community needs. Through Students Engaged Learning module, I've assembled hygiene kits for the Tabitha's Wedding in Utah County, raise funds to provide code for the needy school children, host and photograph International Mountain Day, World Polio Day at UVU, to have a platform for mountain women. This experience demonstrates how Student engaged learning module can strengthen communities while advancing global awareness. I am sincerely grateful to the Utah Valley University for supporting our civic engagement and to the Orem Linden Rotaract Club for encouraging our advocacy and service to the mountain communities. This partnership shows that sustainable development begins with collaboration between educational institutions and community organization. In conclusion, I urge this session and educational institution in particular real area to adopt inclusive student-centered engagement module similar to the student engaged learning module. It empowered students to contribute meaningfully to sustainable mountain development and women's rights. I also call for practical measures, including mobile justice units in the mountainous province of the Democratic Republic of the Congo so that no woman is denied protection because of their geography. Thank you.
We will now move to our concluding statements from students who have pre-recorded their messages. We will hear from Jonas Tanner, Christina Alvis, Mike Lutz, and Dominic Keller. Following their remarks, we will transition to the question and answer portion of our presentation. I will now pull up the videos.
Ladies and gentlemen, good morning. I am Jonas Tanner, a political science student aspiring to globally advocate for equality and inclusion. The 70th session of the Commission on the Status of recognized the importance of mountain women to further justice for all people. Many women in the world face challenges unique to their geographic and cultural situations. The inclusion of perspectives of mountain women and girls in the Commission's report is essential to uphold the United Nations assurance that no group will be left behind, including the interests of mountain women in the global agenda, which enhances the UN's cause for the advancement of gender equality and empowerment of women worldwide. Within the UVU student engaged learning model, all students, including myself, are involved and encouraged to contribute to local community service projects. Students are able to actively engage in global and local sustainable development projects. These collaborative student efforts seek to find solutions to country-specific environmental concerns with an emphasis on actions that reflect the belief of those who are often underrepresented. Through my own participation in such efforts, I've seen how these engaged learning models are used as contributors to positive social change. Under the same engaged model, my research on women's rights in China provides a vital backstory to the issues confronting mountain women all over the world. The lessons I learned from studying the policies in China made me realize the necessity of bottom-up organization and institutional backing and advocacy. China has a long 1,000-year history of family connections and relevance. However, there still remains a significant problem with gender roles in its patriarchal dominated society, which often makes it difficult for women to find fair and equal treatment in some circumstances. CSW70 must recognize the inclusion of mountain women in its final document for achieving gender equality and sustainable development. The UVU student engaged learning model is a great example of advancing inclusive student-centered learning and strategy by promoting various populations, including women and girls' involvement and incorporating community perspectives. Institutions of higher education should continue to adopt student-centered initiatives that advance engagement, experiential learning, and transdisciplinary collaboration. All of this promotes inclusivity, empowers students to initiate change, and furthers the advancement of women in mountain communities.
Distinguished delegates and honored guests, my name is Michael Lutz, a political science student at Utah Valley University. It is a privilege to address the 70th session of the Commission on the Status of Women. I am here to advocate for the explicit inclusion of mountain women and girls in the final outcome document of CSW70.
This cause is personal for me. I grew up in a mountain community of 80 people outside Springville, Utah. We're often overlooked for resources and representation. That experience taught me that geography determines opportunity. I later witnessed this internationally in the Republic of Kiribati, where environmental vulnerability and rising sea levels threaten entire communities. Seeing how climate change places a disproportionate strain on families in fragile environments deepened my understanding that environmental insecurity and gender.
All right. So sorry, guys. We are facing technical difficulties with showing our video statements. I will just go ahead and read the Mike Lutz statement, and then just one moment, please. So sorry for the technical difficulties. One second, please. Okay. Distinguished delegates and honored guests, my name is Mike Lutz, and I'm a political science student at Utah Valley University with a focus on global politics. It is a privilege to address the 70th session of the Commission on the Status of Women. I'm here to advocate for the explicit inclusion of mountain women and girls in the final outcome document of CSW70. I come to this cause personally. I grew up in a mountain community of about 80 people outside of Springville, Utah, registered under the county rather than nearby towns. We were consistently overlooked when it came to resources and representation. That experience taught me that geographically determines opportunities, and the small remote communities go unnoticed and underserved by systems never designed to see them. I later witnessed this dynamic internationally through service of the Republic of Kiribati, where environmental vulnerability and rising sea levels threaten entire communities. Seeing how climate change place disproportionately restraint on women and families in fragile environmental depend my understanding that environmental insecurity and gender inequality are inseparable. That same pattern of invisibility and vulnerability is what mountain women confront every day. Despite their global importance, mountain communities experience geographical isolation, limited infrastructures, and environmental vulnerability. And women and girls bear the heaviest burdens, facing reduced access to healthcare, education, and political representation and justice. They are also central to food security, water management, and local economic resilience. Yet, climate change disproportionately erodes their livelihoods. Without explicit language in the CSW70 outcome document, implementation efforts will continue to overlook these in the most remote and fragile areas. Through UVU's student-engaged learning model, I have seen that advocacy strengthens when education is applied and inclusive. I'm a non-traditional student. I am 29 years old, working to support my wife and newborn while earning my degree. Through the Utah International Mountain Forum, students conduct country-specific research and participate in service learning tied to UN framework on sustainable mountain development. This model works because it's not just tech. Global governance, it places students inside it. Critically, SEL thrives on collaborative exchange by working alongside peers from vastly different backgrounds. Our collective research is enriched by a diversity of perspectives, providing that complex global issues are best solved through shared experiences and mutual mentorship. My research on Switzerland showed that even in prosperous nations with a strong track record on mountain development, women in rural alpine cantons like Uri and Glarus still face limited representation and economic insecurity. Furthermore, injustice is evident in education, where university track graduation rates drop from 34% in urban Geneva to just 13% in alpine Uri. A reminder that strong national systems do not eliminate geographical disparities. I respectfully recommend that CSW70 especially recognizes mountain women and girls and encourage student-centric education models like UVU's SEL model that connects research, service, and global governance. Sustainable mountain development and gender equality are irreceptible, and our policies must reflect their reality. Thank you.
And I will be reading on behalf of Jonas Tanner. Ladies and gentlemen, good morning. I am Jonas Tanner, a political science student aspiring to globally advocate for equality and inclusion. The 70th session of the Commission on the Status of Women must recognize the importance of mountain women to further justice for all people. Many women in the world face challenges unique to their geographic and cultural situations. The inclusion of perspectives of mountain women and girls in the Commission's report is essential to uphold the United Nations assurance that no group will be left behind. Including the interests of mountain women in the global agenda, which enhances the UN's cause for the advancement of gender equality and empowerment of women worldwide. Within the UVU student engaged learning model, all students, including myself, are involved and encouraged to contribute to local community service projects. Students are able to actively engage in global and local sustainable development projects. These collaborative student efforts seek to find solutions to county-specific or country-specific environmental concerns, with an emphasis on actions that reflect the beliefs of those who are often underrepresented. Through my own participation in such efforts, I've seen how these engaged learning models are used as contributors to positive social change. Under the same engaged model, my research on women's rights in China provides a vital backstory to the issues confronting mountain women all over the world. The lessons I learned from studying the policies in China made me realize the necessity of bottom-up organization and institutional backing and advocacy. China has a long 1,000-year history of family connections and relevance. However, there still remains a significant problem with gender roles in its patriarchal dominated society, which often makes it difficult for women to find fair and equal treatment in some circumstances. CSW70 must recognize the inclusion of mountain women in its final document for achieving gender equality and sustainable development. The UVU student engaged model is a great example of advancing inclusive student-centered learning and strategy by promoting various populations, including women and girls' involvement in incorporating community perspectives. Institutions of higher education should continue to adopt student-centered initiatives that advance engagement, experiential learning, and transdisciplinary collaboration. All of this promotes inclusivity, empowers students to initiate change, and furthers the advancement of women in mountain communities. Thank you.
Hello, I will be speaking on behalf of Cristina Leon. Good afternoon, my name is Cristina Leon. I'm from Brazil and currently studying digital marketing at Utah Valley University with minors in leadership studies and public relations and strategic communication. At UVU, I serve as a presidential intern at the Office of the Provost, and I also volunteer at the Women Leadership Institute in Utah, where I focus on supporting their initiatives to empower women and increase their opportunities to occupy leadership positions. I urge this session of the Commission on the Status of Women to include in its final document language about providing equal rights for justice for mountain women and girls. Mountain women are vital to sustainability, food security, and community resilience, and their rights are essential for climate resilience, poverty education, and lasting peace. At UVU, the Student Engaged Learning Model brings students from different backgrounds, including mountain women, into hands-on teamwork that addresses their real-life challenges with faculty mentorship. Through this work and my research on Rwanda, I highlight how, despite national progress in women's rights, mountain women remain excluded in practice due to isolation, limited services, and barriers to justice, especially for survivors of gender-based violence. SEL offers a practical response to this injustice by transforming academic knowledge into a direct support for mountain women. Students build partnerships, document barriers, and propose data-driven solutions to strengthen legal accesses and visibility. In doing so, education moves beyond theory to expand dignity, opportunity, and justice for mountain women. Through the presidential internship at UVU, I have had the opportunity to be mentored by university leadership and gain an inside view of higher education. I've had valuable opportunities to discuss the role of AI in education, collaborate with the UNESCO chair at UVU, and create social media content that connects university leadership with students. These experiences has deepened my desire to work and contribute to social change and engage in discussions at the United Nations. In conclusion, I urge member states and CSW stakeholders to ensure access to justice for mountain women and girls by featuring them in the UN gender policy discussions. Universities should also expand inclusive and student-driven engagement models that prepare young leaders, including mountain women and girls, to connect research with advocacy and real implications. Thank you.
Alrighty, thank you for bearing with our tech issues. We would like to thank our student speakers for sharing their insights and expressing how missions of raising justice awareness for mountain women through student-engaged learning, we will now invite our audience to join the conversation. We'll take about the next 30 minutes for a Q&A session, and we encourage everyone in the audience to post questions on the chat. We will start with student questions, and then we'll go from there. Alrighty. I will have a question for Lyoko Nanza. And my question for Lyoko Nanza is, how has your NGO, Smart African, contributed to the goals of the CSW70 on the African continent and worldwide?
Okay, thank you, Natalia. It's for me a big honor to speak on behalf of more than 500 members of our NGO in the continent and outside the continent. We advocate in different areas, and one of them is education. And what we do, like, we provide like resources to women and girls in the African continent. Like during these last 2 years, we provided like scholarships to 25 kids, and some kids like back for those women's kids. And then for this year, we just launched this huge campaign of hygiene awareness in the Republic of Congo, where we are providing like this important session of hygiene to 250 women and girls in the Republic of Congo. And then we also give to these girls and women's hygiene kits. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Lyoko. I will have a question now for Amish Brock, and the question is, why did you choose Kyrgyzstan and the Alps for your comparative case study?
Thank you for that question. So I have some personal reasons and also some practical reasons for why I chose these two regions and the states within them for my research project. So as for the Alps, I have Bavarian heritage, so my family comes from Bavaria. And so I have a particular interest in that region, especially now when I'm studying sustainable mountain development. You know, Bavaria, Austria, Switzerland are some of the leading nations in the world as far as sustainable mountain development goes. So I wanted to use that as a case study to compare with developing nations such as Kyrgyzstan. And the reason I have interest in that is, one, our great mentor, Baktibek Abdurasayev, is from Kyrgyzstan. And also I have a specialty in my studies in post-Soviet politics. So that also caught my interest for that state as well. And I also think that they just serve as a great comparative study for how different nations deal with mountain sustainable development and also women's rights within those communities.
Thank you, Amish. I will have now a question for Abigail Fisher. What in your research prompted you to call action for region-specific framework development for local mountain communities? What value would these frameworks bring?
Thank you so much for the question. So throughout my research on China and Utah, I identified that there are very specific mountain challenges that are particular to the independent and individual geographies and cultures that exist. While global contexts for mountain frameworks may exist, local ones do not, and that creates a barrier and an impediment in order to design policy and equitable action for local challenges specifically, which is why I prompted the request to design mountain-specific and local-specific mountain frameworks.
Thank you, Abby. I will now have a question for Angie. How did your experience growing up in Honduras influence your interest in gender equality and rural communities?
So, as a Honduran woman, I was able to grow up experiencing the inequalities women face in rural and mountainous communities. Actually, during my senior year at Intercontinental School, we were able to fund and construct a kindergarten in a small village, and it really opened my eyes to how women and girls are really lack educational opportunities due to the geographical location they're born in and their social expectations as well. And it's what motivates me to study political science, to be able to find a solution one day. Thank you.
Thank you, Angie. We'll have a question now from Antoine. And my question for you is, how can the United Nations be more specific in international integration, challenges, and leadership?
I think one of the things that the United Nations can do on that is putting mountain women as the key manager of natural resources, as they are the providers of their communities. If they are at the center of everything, not being excluded, that will help the United Nations to even meet their 2030 agenda goal.
Thank you, Antoine. I'll have a question now from Sophie, and the question is, what is sex tourism?
Hello. So, sex tourism is a new demand for sexual services that are caused by an influx in international tourists and the lack of restrictions on laws against prostitution and sexual and sex industry within a certain state.
Thank you, Sophie. We'll now have a question from Erin, and the question for her is, as a non-traditional student, how has your own experience shaped your own advocacy?
Well, being a non-traditional student over 24, I myself understand how education later in life can transform someone's sense of agency and opportunity. UV's political science department and College of Humanities and Social Sciences, as well as Rotary, has helped me recognize my own capacity to lead and serve, that personal transformation is exactly what I want. That transformation is what I want for mountain women to have access to, which is education that opens doors and strengthens their voice in the decisions that affect them in life.
Thank you very much, Erin. And also, please don't be afraid to ask questions in the chat. We'll continue with student ones, but when we have chat questions pop up, we'll answer them as well. But we'll have a question now from Allie Holt. And the question I have for Allie is, how has your involvement in these clubs strengthened your knowledge for sustainable mountain development?
Thank you. I feel like as I have become more involved in these clubs at UVU and gotten the opportunity to interact with a bunch of different people within the foreign affairs, within the Utah International Mountain Forum, within the Rotary or the Sustainable Mountain Development Club, I've had the opportunity to interact with people who know a lot more about sustainable mountain development than I do and learn from them. I've also had the opportunity to host events where experts are able to come and present more information on sustainable mountain development and the issues facing our community right now and how we can help them. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Allie. We'll have a question from Zhao. And the question I have for him is, how can UN member states reduce the distance, language barriers, and delays that prevent mountain women from accessing justice, especially in cases of violence?
I think the biggest way that states can help is especially by providing resources and having investments in areas that are usually forgotten by most governments. And in the case of mountain communities, they're usually overlooked because first distance, second transportation, and people just forget they exist. So having people aware of those struggles will lead governments to find resources and investments for those communities.
Thank you, Zhao. We'll have a question now from Grace Jurgerson. And the question I have for her is, in what ways can we encourage mountain women and promote their voices in forums?
And the ways that we can promote mountain women in these forums is providing space for them and allowing them to join us, and also networking with them and bringing them to activities and these forums as well. Thank you.
All right. I'll ask another question from Antoine. And his other question he had was, what scalable strategies can ensure women in remote and mountainous areas have meaningful access to justice and deepens geographic barriers?
Can I see the question? Yeah, I think going back to my first answer, one of the strategies that can be implemented for the remote and mountainous area is just putting the women at the center of everything that is going to help them. Because most of the mountain women, especially if we go to the Democratic Republic of the Congo, they have difficult to access medical centers, police stations. So because of that, the difficulty of them reaching those resources, it's so hard for them to get the help they need. So the resources is to put them at the center of everything, especially when at the being included in the CSW70 final document. That would be one of the strategies that can be implemented to help these women to overcome those barriers that they face in day-to-day life.
Thank you. We'll now have a question from Amish again. And his question is, what is the connection between sustainable mountain development and women's rights?
So as I've been conducting my research, mainly on Austria, but also the other Alpine regions and Kyrgyzstan, we're looking at two different levels of development. So in Austria, they have a more progressive view on women's rights, and so in those more developed mountain communities, even rural ones are pretty developed. As far as progressive views goes and as far as sustainable mountain development goes. But when I'm looking at Kyrgyzstan, we have a lot more traditional roles in the very rural communities. And for example, males are usually in the more industrial type jobs when females are doing a lot more of the domestic ones. And when we have crises, for example, if there are natural disasters or things like that, the domestic jobs that women often have in these communities are affected enormously. And when we have the majority of the people being in political positions making sustainable mountain development decisions, when those are predominantly male, the women who are in those communities aren't represented in their voices are not heard when it comes to how they're affected when these crises happen. So that's kind of what my research has been based on, and that's the connection between sustainable mountain development and women's rights, is that when we make sustainable mountain development policy, we need to make sure that one, women have a voice to be able to help make these policies, and two, that those concerns in more rural areas are thought about and planned for, and that policies are made for them as well.
All right, thank you, Amish. We'll now have a question for Anna. And her question is, as this is your second year attending and speaking at this event as a UVU student, what are the most important lessons you have learned?
Good afternoon, everyone. I think one of the most important lessons for sure has been how dialogue and collaboration can shape international affairs and international discussions when it comes to pertinent global issues like sustainable mountain development or just sustainable development in general. As I prepare myself for graduation this semester and I prepare myself to keep going in my career, that's something that I will take with me. And I'm very grateful for the opportunities that I've had because of this. So this is my second year speaking, and I'm just really, really grateful for all the things that I've been able to do because of this. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Anna. We'll now have a question for Janessa, and her question is, how has her internship that she did here in Utah at the Capitol Hill helped SMD go into our state legislator, as how SEL helped her get into that position?
Thank you for that question. My experience at the state legislature as an intern has helped me understand the role of advocacy, but also the collaboration of work with stakeholders, with community champions, and how to push legislation correctly when it comes to addressing sustainable mountain development. And what I mean by that is when you learn the process of how a bill is introduced in the legislature, how it goes through committees, how it is heard on the floor, you understand what you have to do as an advocate to move your initiative forward. And so being able to use the student engaged learning model with the representative I worked with, and how I could offer suggestions and how we sat in meetings with community champions and stakeholders has really incorporated student engaged learning, because I had firsthand experience and I was able to contribute student lived experiences to these initiatives. So thank you.
All right, we thank you, Janessa, for answering our question. We're going to end our live here. Thank you so much for joining and learning how student-engaged learning can raise justice awareness for mountain women and how they need to be included in this session documents at the end of the CSW70 events. Thank you so much. We hope you will have a good day. We'll have more information on our website at, at uvu.edu/UtahIMF is where you can find more information about our speakers and their statements, as well as more information about this event. Again, it's uvu.edu/UtahIMF. Thank you so much. Have a nice day.